My boy, Reed Coverdale, host of The Naturalist, capitalist.
This is what government does. It sucks.
If you think you're going to win people over by stating commonplaces, you're just selling the other part.
It is about...
I'm doing good, brother.
Yeah, it's good to have you here, man.
I didn't explain this to him at all. I said, hey, just come on this show, because I didn't want to scare him off.
We're not that scary.
When doing that, we discovered an abandoned English colony that was lost over 430 years ago. So 20 years before Jamestown, 37 years before Plymouth Rock, you had an English presence in what's now North Carolina that farted around for about 4 years and ended up with the abandonment of 117 people, and we found them. So they're kind of known today as a lost colony, but in reality, they'd always given clear indication of where they went, and all the historical documents lead to a super obvious conclusion of why they would go there, but there was never any science behind it to prove it.
I'm going to reiterate what you said, because your mic is going...
Yeah, your mic is still a little...
Something wrong with it. I don't know, but it's okay. I know the story too. So a lot of people have heard of Jamestown or Plymouth Rock. They usually start with the Virginia colony or the one in Massachusetts, but there was actually one earlier in North Carolina. And it's sponsored by guys like Sir Walter Raleigh. It's the capital is named after the capital now, not back in the day. And they landed on an island called Croatoan, which is now called Hatteras Island. And they have been missing for 436 years. And Scott and his team of archaeologists from England have dug them up, or dug up their, belongings and things like that. Let's check it now.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
I know it. Maybe I've had to speak really loud. Does that help?
I don't know.
A little. It might just be rough. We might not be able to do anything about it. That's all right. I mean, we can understand you. So as far like the way I was taught, the lost colony, they had like no idea what happened to it. Some guys scribbled or they carved like CROA on a tree trunk, and then there was just a great mystery as to whether they disappeared or they died of starvation or if they were massacred or whatever. So were you able to find any trails as to what had actually happened to them, if they'd actually lived with the natives or anything like that? Or
Oh yeah. Russia got them.
Yeah, what you were taught was bullshit, basically. So like, before even digging into the ground, you already know that what I was thinking in school, like this colony, it looks like on a knows what that means. It's vanish and act like no one's ever heard this message, therefore they're vanished, and that the clue is some spooky cryptic thing. But in reality, and this is from the documents themselves, from the people that are actually there.
Hold on, tag me in. I'm gonna fill that in. So he said what you were taught in history was complete bullshit, and they also taught the same thing in the Carolinas. And they act like, oh, there's this mysterious message on a tree or a stump or whatever, and sometimes it says the whole word Croatoa, and sometimes it just says CRO, and that's crap that came from a play basically about the event. But the historic record shows that they spelled out the entire word on a palisade, right next to where the fort was, and it's not a mysterious thing. It was on John White's maps, for example. It's an island that they had visited prior to going to Roanoke. Roanoke's just another island right next to Croatoan Island. And so they had Native Americans from Croatoan with them that had gone back to England and then back to the islands again. So it was not a mystery at all. But they always omit, they start the story in the middle with, oh, look, we just found this weird word and no one knows what it is. And that's just a flat out lie.
where did what year was the poem that you're talking about written?
What year was what?
The poem
written. It was an outdoor play in 1907.
Yeah, 1937. Paul Green did an outdoor play, which has been going every year, every summer since then. He also did one called The Founders, and he did a couple at the King's Theater in Williamsburg about the Founding Fathers and Revolutionary War. So he's a pretty famous playwright for an American.
Hey, Scott, why don't you try logging off and then logging back in again and see if it's any better? It sometimes does something.
I bet it.
See if that works.
Hit settings and change the microphone. It could be like trying to grab it. Oh, well.
I think it's his internet connection.
It's the mystery of the Croatoan microphone.
It's just where we live, man. Like sometimes people are like, why don't you do more shows with your brother? I'm like, because it's like 30% chance it's going to work.
Pretend that's not the IDF scrambling that out there.
Oh, okay. Let's see. It's the NSA.
Folks, we got the documents. I got the IDF right off the shores of Hatteras. I know where the Dawson boys and their family live, folks. I got the documents on that. Infowars.com.
But this is like what Reed said. It was in your textbook, like this crap. Like just made up crap that's borrowed mostly from a play. That'd be like taking the history of Robert the Bruce and William Wallace and all that from the movie Braveheart, which is a cool movie, but totally inaccurate. Yeah.
Benjamin Martin of the Patriot. I tend to believe Mel Gibson won the American Revolution.
Yeah, dude.
Single-handed.
What happened? You know?
Roland Emmerich's accurate. There's nothing inaccurate about that movie, right?
You give Mel Gibson a 6-pack of beer, and
dude,
the truth comes pouring out now.
his level of base.
He's always killing the British. He was killing them, or the English. He was killing them in Braveheart. He was killing them in the Patriot.
Yeah, he's those lobster backs.
Okay,
try talking, Scott.
Yabba dabba dizzle.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, it is better.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Infowars.com.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Epstein
All
didn't
right,
kill himself.
While we've got a connection with you, Scott, just give us all the information you want about what you found after you did the dig and everything.
Well,
there it is.
So, is it working?
It is.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Tell him about the digs and the two to rows and all that.
So we started digging back in 2009, and when you do archaeology, you're not treasure hunting. You don't just dig as fast as you can to the bottom to see where. You have to go layer by layer and their teeth. And when we got to about 1640s, we had to stop because we found human remains, and it was from different. And so that took up all the rest of the time, and they had to send the human remains off to Raleigh. Is just part of the
rules.
We never made it past like 1640, but because we can only dig like 2 weeks out of the year in spring break when you have free labor from college kids. And the second year, the same thing had to be gone down.
Grad students are the new slaves.
The year, well, you know, they're
it's indentured servitude. They do it for credits.
Hey, Scott, try shutting your video off and just using your audio. See if that streams better. So if you just end your camera on your end and then just use audio, maybe it'll come through better.
Let's see.
Try talking
I
again.
hope so.
That
you sound okay right now. So.
Hi.
All right, now go off.
All right. Well, we'll see how long it's.
That.
All right. So the second year, the same thing happened. Kept running skeletons. So we moved to a different location. We had definitely found a Native American site of Croatoan, which is where the colony literally rotated. Went. It's did before and all that stuff that Ryan probably explained while I was gone. So that was good because we found the part of the island where the natives were living, but we hadn't gotten to the 1500s yet because we kept running into skeletons or whatever. And then eventually, when we moved to a different part of the island, we went down. And this time, in that layer of about 1600, we found a couple objects from the 1580s. But when you find it in the layer of the 1600s, you don't know if it was just something that was 20 years old when it got there, or get there and somebody hung on to it for a while. You don't know. It's cool, but it's not like perfect science, right? To prove anything happened. Finally, though, we got below that to a layer that was pure 1580s. 1980s, meaning there was nothing in that layer that wasn't at least that old. With a layer, you go by the most recent thing. So like there's 4 of us right now. If you reach in your pocket and pull out change, you might have a quarter from 1980. That doesn't mean it's 1980 right now, right? So if you drop it in your yard today, it would just be something, you know.
I just have these weird.
It was dropped in 2022, but if we kept digging in that area, we'd probably find something from this year in it. So that's how you know how old a layer is you go by whatever recent thing is in a big area. So we found a layer there's not 1600s at all. We've been getting thousands of these glass trade beads and lead shot and super common items that were everywhere. They all vanished. Became a pure Native American site with and all of that, and then all of a sudden, bang, we start getting.
Hey Scott,
that's
you're just coming to you're coming through so choppy. I can like pick up like barely half of what you're
So
saying.
he's saying he got down to the 1600s twice and kept running into skeletons. And because of the rules, they'd have to send those bones off to Raleigh and da 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 da. And finally, they got down to a layer of the 1580s, which is that's when they came. So this is the one they're looking for. But it's hard to get a specific date unless you get certain key type of items, because you go by like whatever the most recent thing is, you know, it's at least that old or whatever. Because you could have something, an object from earlier that someone held on to and then died with it or whatever, right? So, but when you start finding things like lead or glassware or things that didn't exist in the New World, that they have to be British, and they're in there with straight line tobacco pipes and things like that, you can start doing the deduction game and getting down to the specific year.
Hey Ryan, can you send Scott my phone number so you can just call me, and then I can just put him on speakerphone and we can all hear him?
Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah, send me your phone number on Skype and I will forward it to him.
All right. Hey Scott, I'm gonna log you off of here and just send Ryan will send you my phone number, and then you can just get us on speakerphone. All right.
Here, I'll
all right. We'll try that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while Scott is doing that, we've got Lindsey Graham here to give us an update on the Ukraine. Senator Graham, how are things going in Ukraine?
Well, hello, Reed. It's nice to see you, and I really appreciate that you groomed your facial hair just for me.
Oh my God.
He got the laugh.
Hey Ryan. Hey handsome. How you doing?
Long time no see, Mr. Senator.
I remember our first date, Ryan. You know what I carved into the Croatoan tree that you couldn't see? LG and RD.
There's a lot of things you couldn't see.
You know what that stands for? Ryan Dawson and Lady Lindsay.
How you boys all doing back from Texas? And you know,
Oh, dude, Texas was incredible.
yeah, it sounded like a great time.
It was in the beginning.
Yeah, Dawson was a little under the weather.
Traveling, not so good. He ran into some issues with the traveling. It was a total disaster. Apparently, ended up being almost as bad as Rosie.
Send you that number, Ryan.
The China got you, Ryan. I heard the China got you.
Yeah, the China virus got me for like a day, but then I wasn't allowed to fly home for another 6 days because I couldn't pass the Rona test. So I went to Florida. And
did you see Base Chad DeSantis when you were down there?
Oh no, I didn't. But I got to meet Dr. Ron Paul and Daniel McAdams, and I got to see Phil Giraldi again, and his wife, and then Scott Ritter and Lou Rockwell. So it's pretty stoked.
There was a lot of base in that room.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. I'm so glad.
I was kind of surprised there was no drone strike, to be honest.
I'm excited to see these two. And then I'm like, yeah, well, y'all aren't nothing now. Ron Paul's over there. You know, it's like,
yeah, screw you guys.
Yeah, who are you?
Like, screw you, Yankees.
Well, it was all Southerners.
Yeah.
Lou, Paul, Adams, Ritter, we're all Southerners.
And Mrs. Paul had her cookbook, and she's got some great recipes for Liberty in there. And I think a lot of people like Liberty cookies, sprinkle with Liberty sugar, Liberty chocolate morsels, and a little bit of rebellious streak in that sugar.
Hey Scott, I'm here. I'm gonna I gotta make it so you can hear too. Hold on 1 second. Output.
Now this is the first time Ryan and Reed got to meet Dr. Paul, right?
That's right.
Can you hear them fine, Scott?
I can hear them.
All right, cool. Can you guys hear him?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold it up close.
Yeah.
Way more clear this time. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna take these off.
It's a lot better.
anyway,
we are ghetto fabulous.
Anyway, Scott, you were saying you were finding. Just go pick up where you left off.
That's who really killed JFK. That's the whole story.
He stole my joke, man.
We're gonna wait for Dawson's documentary before we can hear that.
It was Ruth Payne.
She was spying on Oswald with.
She was involved.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say, Ryan, that she was involved. I don't trust that 90-year-old bitch, that Quaker bitch. I don't trust her one bit. I don't want any of her oatmeal. Okay? I don't give a shit. How many hereditary Toni Collette style smiles she does in the camera. I do not trust her. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going on mute now.
She just wanted to go off on Ruth Payne and then go vampire out, huh?
And we finally get to a layer that's pure 1580s, and it's 90% Native American stuff, and all of a sudden we get a lot of Elizabethan material, which is very exciting because the only voyages from England to the New World at all in the 1580s were this missing colony and the 3 military voyages before that, and all of them came to the Outer Banks. So we knew it was either from the so-called lost colony or it was from one of those military voyages, and either way is awesome because they're both 20 years older than Jamestown, and such a cool part of history that we've been reading about for myself at least 20 years, and intensely reading the primary sources, and we're finding gun locks and sword handles and smelted copper and things from those people. And we were able to deduce that it was the final colony because they're the only one that brought women. The rest of them were all military, and they only brought men. The other thing about it is
Can you define woman?
Houses.
Yeah. Are you a biologist, Scott? Or?
Yeah. Can you define what a woman is? for like
Sure can.
both liberals watching this show.
Yeah.
My dog stepped on a bee. Right. No, I'm not a biologist, but I can still brush my teeth. And so we found their houses. We found the daub from the walls. We found the window glass, and the only group that built houses was the one in 1587, which is the lost colony. The military guys were living in military field tents because they were never meant to be here for very long. They're just supposed to slit some Spanish throats and steal some ships and then come home. But yeah, it never really was a mystery if you read the real history, but it was still exciting to get down there and see it, and see how that colony struggled. You can see where they had these really pretentious glass plates that were turned into glass arrowheads. And we have this machine, it's called an XRF machine. It was invented by Dr. Kaiser, Bruce Kaiser. He got the idea from Star Trek, and he's a particle physicist, and he made this machine that I'm not going to pretend to understand exactly how it works, but it shoots a laser that bounces off of any object and goes back into the machine, and then you hook it up to a laptop, and it gives you the elemental makeup of whatever.
Yeah, the spectral analysis.
When you use it on a piece of glass, you can see the different levels of lead and potassium and silica and whatever. And then from that, they have a data bank, and they can tell where in the world the glass was actually made and what kind of glass it was and all of that. So we're finding these really expensive, kind of pretentious plates, like the most expensive glass they had, which back then glass was kind of a rich person's item. And they have chipped it all into arrowheads.
It's like baby formula today.
They're worth more, and because they're pragmatic and useful to kill a bird or whatever, then that plate is worthless if you don't have any food to put on it. So you can see how that's happening. You can see the earrings have been shaped into fish hooks, these copper earrings, and you can see where gun barrels, when the gun is no longer working, they've repurposed the metal and they're using it to shape canoes and houses. And all this English stuff is being used to the nth degree because there is no iron and there is no glass, and there's very little metal of any kind other than a little bit of copper that's native to here. And so all of that stuff is precious, and they're using it over and over and over again. So you can tell that the colony survived for, a decade at least, and they just went completely native. There's only 16 women in the colony. That leaves 80-something single men. They're sailors. They're on an island with topless women. You telling me, nothing happened? But,
they didn't integrate.
And the next person to visit Hatteras Island, where the Croatoan lived, and that wrote anything down, was a surveyor from South Carolina, which back then was still all Carolina. His name was Ryan Dawson, and he said there's blue-eyed Indians wearing English clothes who told him straight up that their ancestors were white people who could speak out of a book. They even mentioned Sir Walter Raleigh's ships and everything. So there's never been a real mystery. Like, that whole thing comes from fiction, which happens all the time. Like, look at Billy the Kid or Blackbeard or King Arthur. Like,
the Holocaust.
These are real cool, but most of what you hear about them is bullshit. And this is just another case of that, where most of what you hear about this colony is coming from fiction. Because anytime history and fiction go head-to-head, fiction always wins. If you look at Blackbeard's flag, for example, which is always presented as a skeleton with horns, and he's got a spear stabbing a heart with all this crap, that comes from a 1920s novel.
Oh, really?
It takes 2 seconds of research to look at what his flag actually looks like, which you have all these depositions from people that were his victims that were robbed by him, and they describe it as a black background. That's the only thing they got right, with a death head, which is a skull, like just a simple head of a skull on black, and that's it. And he had another flag that was just all red that they described as just a blood color. And yet that's something super basic about the man, is what his flag looked like, what his banner was, and 99.9% of people have the wrong image in their head, because fiction wins. Fiction always beats fact. Whenever Hollywood touches something, it's forever stained, and you're never going to have a voice that's louder.
You mean Disney's Pocahontas is not accurate?
Yeah, they're going
What was that guy's John White?
But
John Smith. Yeah,
it's such bullshit, and it's really insulting to the Croatoan people to act like they never existed, that the very name of their tribe is some kind of spookadoo word that no one's heard of, when they're mentioned thousands of times in actual primary sources. They even give the latitude of the island. They welcomed the English. They fed them. They showed all this love and charity, and they get zero credit.
Did you guys dig up any nanothermite? Because that would explain the disappearance.
And that narrative has just exploded to where it's to the point of no return.
Yeah, and you guys are descendants of the Croatoan, right? Or you're related?
Yeah, there's a lot of descendants of the Croatoan, and people around this part of the world know that plenty is bullshit. But if, like, wherever you're from, Ohio, whatever, you don't know that. How could you know that? You're taught in school, and you're 9 years old. Oh, no one knows what this word means. So you just grow up thinking that. And it'd be like someone saying they wrote down Ireland, but no one's ever heard of them. And just a snap of a finger, you just erased all Irish history from the planet. Because that's what they did. By saying that then they can't tell you anything else in school about them if they just said that. Because they're supposed to be non-existent. No one even knows what it. They don't even tell you it's a tribe. They act like the word is some alien, sound, and no one knows what it is at all.
And some of John White's illustrations are used to describe the Powhatan later, like Virginia, and they're not. Those aren't Powhatan. Those are Croatoan.
So, Scott, can I ask you why?
We're talking about multiple authors: John White, Richard Grenville, Thomas Harriot, Arthur Barlow, talking about the Croatoan page after page after page, interacting with them, what their entire religion was, how their diet was, what they ate, how they hunted, how their social structure. We know all of that. All of that is written down, and it is all swept under the rug, and that is what became lost, not a colony.
What are you going to say? Yeah.
I wanted to ask Scott, why is it that was swept under the rug, and why is there still a concerted effort to keep this from people and keep people ignorant and in the dark about the reality of what you've discovered and what you know about and have researched?
There's two reasons why. One is good old-fashioned racism. So if you had a play in 1937, 40 years before true desegregation, and you had the first English that they're so proud of for conquering this wilderness, and they looked at Indians back then as just like part of the wilderness, something else they had to overcome, these brave Europeans, whatever. So that's kind of the mindset. If you had them intermarrying with Croatoans and having mixed babies and then them finding blue-eyed Indians later, which is what happened, they had torn the stage down. I mean, this is during a day where black and white people couldn't even sit next to each other in the audience. So there's that. And then it made money. And the reason that they still stick with it is, one, it's a lot of egg on their face. Promoted that thing for that many decades, 80 years. And it's all lies.
There's one more reason, too. Tell them who owns Colonial Williamsburg. Well, tell them who owns Jamestown. The Rockefeller family. They own that whole outdoor museum.
Larry Silverstein.
Well, they got but they have a vested interest in Jamestown being first, because King James hates all his rivals, and so they've written it in like, oh, Virginia's the first colony, and it's Jamestown, and they named it after King James, who had the King James Bible and blah blah blah. So he's got a lot of sway. And then the Rockefellers bought it, and tons of money has been dumped into CW, Colonial Williamsburg. And so they have to, being number two just isn't as cool. Like, you can't put that in. And so they just act like, oh, Roanoke, no one knows what happened. Well, it wasn't even Roanoke, it was Croatoan, but it's just become a spooky side story. And you see this all the time on the History Channel about other things, like, were the Vikings really here, or the Phoenicians, and all this garbage, and like ancient aliens, and like our entertainment industry, it's much worse than the play. Like, with these movies and these stupid TV shows, are making mysteries where there are none, because it sells, basically.
I know firsthand that they lie. So I've been on the History Channel a couple of times. They just asked me to go on a third time, and I said no in a harsh way. But it's because the first two times they lied to me, and then they purposely lied to the whole world. They did stuff that wasn't a mistake, that they knew was a lie, just to create like more of a mystery or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's how that goes. And I did a show with the Travel Channel with Josh Gates that was actually pretty good. They gave a lot of attention to some theories that were stupid, but that's what they got to do, to be fair. And we kind of got lumped into the last 10 minutes, but the section that they gave us was pretty good. But this most recent one with the Science Channel, which was filmed by Discovery Channel, they own each other now. They're merged with Warner Brothers, whatever. I don't even know who's in charge, but they did a really good job. They did a 2-hour show, like special show, 2 episodes on just the Croatoan, and you never can get everything that you want on TV, but it was really good. They've spent barely any time with the nonsense stuff from the mainland, but
they even talked about the housing crisis on Hatteras, just cause
a little bit on it, because it is so crystal clear that we're telling the truth. And you've got physical evidence to back it up, that history and science matter, and it matters more than what's the most entertaining conclusion. Like, just tell the truth, because that's what people want. Well, not enough, I guess, because that's why they cater. It's all about the bottom line.
But I thought Christopher Columbus Columbus found America. Is that not true?
No, Columbus.
Yeah, no, I know. Don't worry.
Yeah, he's in the Bahamas.
He docked in the Bahamas.
I don't know that, though.
I know. Yeah, I'm aware.
I heard Abe Lincoln was the great emancipator. Is that not true?
Christopher Columbus wanted the same kind of tax exemption that Bono from U2 wanted, so he offshored it.
Right.
He discovered Little St. Jeffries.
Who was the who was the fellow who traveled back to England by boat, and when he came back, they were all missing? That was that John White?
Yeah, that was the governor, John White. So he actually came over in 1585, went back to England, came over again in 87, went back to England, and then came back the last time he came back was in 1590 because a lot of crap happened. He actually got wounded by the French 3 times. He was stabbed in the head with a pike and slashed in the side with a sword and shot in the butt with a musket. So he had to recover from that. And then he basically just hitchhiked with pirates to get here in 1590. And they spent a month and a half just looting the Caribbean. And then they kind of reluctantly went to check on the colony, which he had left on Roanoke Island. And when they got up to the near there, they had to get off the ships and get in these smaller boats and kind of go through these inlets to get into this shallow sound where Roanoke Island is. And a bunch of them drowned because crossing the inlets is like ridiculously dangerous on the Outer Banks, but even now. So when those guys drowned, the rest of the crew were like, screw it, we're done. We don't really care about your colony, because there was a bunch of pirates that were only very reluctantly stopping by anyway, and their captain just died, and 6 other guys died. But
they lost an anchor too.
Gave a great speech and was able to convince them to let him try again. And so he went with 19 other volunteers that agreed with him, and they made it through the inlet. And they got to Roanoke Island, and they saw Croatoan written down, which was like the obvious location anyway, because the 3 voyages that came before had all lived on Croatoan and interacted and traded with them, and that's the tribe that was keeping them alive. Whereas the tribe on the mainland next to Roanoke Island hated them and had actually killed 2 guys the year before, and they ended up killing one of the colonists too. They shot him 16 times with arrows and bashed his head in. And they did that because on the military voyages that came before the colony, they murdered that tribe's chief by shooting him in the back twice and cutting his head off. They kidnapped children, they burned down a village, so basically
they went full John McCain
into when they arrived at Roanoke is everyone within 100 miles wanted to kill them except for one tribe, Croatoan, who was at war with the same Indians that the English were at war with. So it was like a no shit they would go there already, right? But then he sees the message and is like, oh, well, that makes sense. Goes back to the ships and says it was agreed by him and everybody to go to weigh anchor and go to Croatoan. So they do, but they don't make it because they're driven off by a hurricane. And they lose their anchors and the ship's damaged. And you remember the guys that he rode over were already pissed. They already mutinied once when their captain died. And now that their ship's damaged, they are done. And they just said, we're not taking you any further. And they went back and ended up wrecking in Ireland. So that's kind of it. Nobody after that ever makes any attempt to go to Croatoan where they fucking knew they were. I mean, that's...
You have to also add about Manio and Wanchese.
20th century. Like, they didn't even pretend it was like confusing at all. And the Queen dies and King James takes over, and James makes peace with Spain. So the entire Tudor line is done. And they have plots because they want to kill James or whatever. And they had already killed his mom. So that's the thing about when you kill people's moms and then they become the king, doesn't work out well for you. So James went straight through all the Tudors. He killed Raleigh, cut his head off, right? So he just went after him, and he didn't give 2 fucks about that colony. So he just left them. They're just abandoned. 20 years later, you have Jamestown, but they never made any attempt to go to Croatoan, because if anyone was still alive, all of the pearls and tobacco or whatever they had accumulated would have gone to the Raleigh and those guys' heirs. So that's why they're lost. Well, really abandoned. So, but that doesn't matter now. So why not dig a hole in the place where the colonies said they went? Just to rule that out, like that would be the most obvious place to look. And wow, it's full of Elizabethan material in the village where they said they went, that they da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
It shouldn't be that shocking. But even with all of that, it's still really, really neat to see it. Like, wow, I'm not crazy. Look, that is a snuff house gun lock coming out of the ground right now. That is a Tudor rose. That is this. That is that. And it's gotten now to where
writing
we've got
slate
over 100,000 facts. So it's not like a red herring. I mean, this is real. we've solved the mystery that really never should have been one in the first place.
Right.
So that's neat.
One of the prime places to dig that they can't is on a golf course that was built by John McAfee, who's now dead.
Hey, we got a super chat request for Jesse Ventura to weigh in on Juneteenth. What does he have to say?
All I gotta say is this: when I was hunting predator, I demanded equality in that hunt. I said, Carl Weathers, I want him on my team, and he came on my team, and he's a black man, and he was there, and he was qualified to hunt predator. So I've been a fan of Juneteenth all the way back to hunting predator. I have a Juneteenth fanny pack. Okay, I got my Juneteenth vaccine, so don't ask me about that. How dare you ask me that question?
Have you?
I was talking about that when I was with Dick Marshall.
I'm a veteran.
Talking about the Juneteenth fanny pack vaccine back in the 70s when I was with the Mongols. How dare you?
Did you? Have you seen the new Predator trailer? The Prey. It's actually Predator and natives, I believe.
Yeah, that's the. Is it what tribe are they trying
That's
to?
the Croatoans.
I doubt.
Predator killed the Croatoans. That's what happened.
No, they're the ones in Cowboys and Aliens, Eric.
There's a vampire something on Netflix called Croatoan. They made it. White Wolf turned it into a vampire tribe, and then I guess Twilight turned natives into werewolves.
That sounds historically accurate.
Yeah, it's about as accurate as CNN. Yeah.
So,
Ghost of
Scott,
Kiev.
What was it like growing up in the Dawson household? I want to hear some like inside baseball stuff. What was it?
He's trying to get kicked off YouTube.
Well, I mean, luckily we were on a isolated island, so we couldn't do too much damage to anyone else. But I think there's just a lot of kids at our house all the time because I have 2 brothers and a sister, so you've already got 4, and we're kind of located on a part of the island that was near like everyone and near the beach and whatever, so it was just
Near the Coast Guard base too.
Our doors, like it was just, different. It's the 80s, man. We played outside.
So who would you beat up, Ryan more, or would he beat you up more? Which way did it go?
Ryan
Who's more Chad?
Make it closer to like actual fighting than I would. And anytime that I fought back, he would just like up it a little bit more. And I just was like, man, if I keep going, someone's gonna die. So I would just like kind of just let him win, and just to end it, because he would not ever.
Right, it's like yeah, right.
I knocked out one of his bowlers with a block ice. And beat the shit out of each other pretty good, but he won like most of the time. But that is the real reason why.
Yeah, that's why he really wanted you to.
That is bullshit. I would beat your ass in seconds then and now, because Scott spent all his time chasing girls, and I sat there hitting a heavy bag every day.
Out of everyone, like pretty much.
I can beat the shit out of anybody on that island.
To always beat the crap out of like anybody, and it wasn't so much like from jiu-jitsu or whatever. He didn't do that crap till like later. This is just from being, how he is. So whatever. I got more pussy though, and that is true. You know that.
Yeah, he was chasing girls all the time. My thing was fighting.
You were born first, but I got back in first.
I like that.
We live for it.
So
this is how we get banned.
Yeah. So are you like not into politics nearly as much as Ryan? Is it just do you just let him handle that, or do you secretly?
I don't really like politics because it's just it makes me want to just spit on my hands and hoist the black, man. It's so
Now we're talking.
crushingly depressing. I just can't do it. But I listen to Ryan talk about the Iran-Contra and 9/11 and stuff, and it makes sense to me. It's just too many. It's too much, man. Like I just would rather study, stuff from 400 years ago. It's kind of safer.
Mm-hmm.
And
No planes at Hatteras, yeah.
I like parchment paper and people that have written with a feather and reading about the trial of John Rackham or whatever.
Well, flight was invented there.
It's fun, but
True.
people are still alive. when you're reading that stuff, you just kind of, it's depressing.
Yeah, maybe Scott, this year's holidays, you'll take a pro IDF stance and just see what happens. Thanksgiving dinner. People settlements.
Yeah.
It's not easy researching into, international pedophile rings and stuff. That's not everybody's cup of tea. And I get it. But I'm just so angry at these fuckers that I'm like, someone has to bring them down.
Oh, no, it's totally, it's righteous and dignified. And that's why we're all here, man. Big picture, why we're doing what we do. But yeah, I mean, you guys know, Scott and Ryan, growing up as twin brothers, it's a lot of fun, man. And people assume things about twins, and you don't know, and you can't know unless you're a twin. So I think it's special, and I think it's
you get
awesome.
judged by what the other one does, and that's the most frustrating thing.
You ever been asked if you can feel the other person's pain from a distance?
You ever get detained by the IDF, Scott?
Yeah, Scott. So all of us have.
I get nervous in airports. I'm like, man, I think I'm Ryan.
Cheap sitting based.
Yeah, cheap sitting based.
Surf and read about pirates, and somebody's like gonna kill me for whatever.
It's gonna black tag them.
Yeah. So Scott, all three of us, nothing serious, but we've paid like small social prices for our friendship with Ryan, which has been totally worth it, by the way. I know all of us would say that, but we have like paid small prices. Have you ever like gotten in trouble over something because you're his brother? Has anything serious like that ever happened? Or
oh fuck yeah. Yeah, it's unavoidable, and I don't blame him for it, because people shouldn't, like, he's got to be him,
right?
And I got to be me, and so I can't really get mad at him for being himself. But hell yeah, man, there was like teachers that had him that I hadn't had yet, and then I had them, and they already hated me. And it was like, that's part of being a twin. I think, I mean, you have a twin, so you understand what this is like when you're like walking somewhere and you see somebody that you don't know, but the way that they look at you, you know that they know your brother and that they think you're him, and the opportunity is there to really mess with people. And I don't know. So I've done that too, but
I dumped a girl for him one time.
You did what, Ryan?
I dumped some girl he was messing with. I didn't even know her. And I was a complete cold-hearted asshole because I had zero feelings.
You stepped in and dumped her when you weren't him?
Well, he's already with some other girl, so I was like, yeah, I'll get rid of her,
You're like, I'll be your baby tonight.
No.
Ryan, he's asking.
Like a tourist?
Yeah, they were tourists.
I mean, that, whatever.
I don't even remember her name. It was somebody near Outer Banks Motel.
But
OBX Motel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, someone thought I was Eric today, and I went with it. I'm at the point now, I don't bother correcting people. It's like, if you don't know me by now, that kind of pops into my head. So
I feel bad when they do know you and you don't know them, and they know well enough to know that you're not your twin, so they definitely know you and you still don't remember them. That's when I pretend to be the other guy. Yeah, it makes you feel bad.
Yeah, you shake your head a lot. You're, oh, good. How you doing? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, great to see you. Hey, man, have a good one. And one thing we didn't. What's that?
You just look at him and be like, "Oh, what's your name again?"
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I didn't forget you. I'm Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, I do that sometimes. Yeah, and then we switched classes back in third grade by swapping one of our shoes each. So we had two different shoes, and the teacher had no idea for the whole class, but our friends dimed on us.
Yeah, the friends. I think we switched classes like once, and it was because we had a baseball game or something, and you had to wear your uniform to school, and so we would never dress alike. So if we did dress alike, everybody would know something was up. But that was like a built-in excuse to dress alike because of the baseball game. And I remember switching, but all the kids knew and giggled, and the teachers knew and acted like they didn't.
That's what we call a Dawson brother false flag attack.
Well, you have to understand, our grade only has 2 classes, so it's like the other class. That's it. Just, you know.
There's only 30 kids the whole grade, 40 maybe.
Hey, I know what that's like.
Well, I
had 27 kids in my graduating class.
We had K through 12 in all one school.
That's still less than a Mormon class on the Mormon compound.
It's like one family of redheads.
Yeah, that's less than Warren Jeff's bedroom. You know?
Wait, Ryan, what do you call a flock of redheads? Is it you got how all the animals, they got like a murder of crows and a flock of geese and whatever, but what's a group of redheads called?
Hell.
Seoul, Korea.
What'd you say?
What'd you say, Scott?
I said Seoul, Korea.
Seoul, Korea.
Oh, yeah. So
Lots of redheads.
South Korea has the fewest number of redheads in the world. And it's because the capital is called Seoul.
Partial to it.
Japan has the second fewest redheads in the world, and that's probably because it nicknamed their land of the rising sun.
Oh, actually, Ryan, this is a good excuse for you to read your little soliloquy that you wrote there.
Oh, let me bust that out. Yeah,
It's pretty profound.
This is I think I was talking to Dan McAdams about religion because I had quoted the Book of John because I like what it says. He's like, "Oh, an atheist quoting Christianity, you're coming my way," and I said, from an epistemological point of view, I know that I don't know, so I say that I'm an atheist because I'm not an active believer in the cosmological claims found in popular faiths. From a moral perspective, though, I've always found this to be more useful realm of theology than the scientific claims, and Jesus is my homie. Few writings last thousands of years and still hold value. The only way that happens is if it's actually correct. I also draw from Shinto faith in Japan and even some parts of Islam. But I do agree with my native brothers about the earth, though. We are not on the earth. We are of the earth, like a giant cell, all living systems connected, all except for redheads. The whole thing was to get the redhead joke in there. One time I explained Roger Penrose and the anesthesiologist long thing about microtubules and the axons of the brain and how consciousness works, just to go back and say, redheads need 25% more anesthesia to go under than others because the gaps in the axons at the end of your neurons is wider, which means it's longer than what the short distance you would need to for the collapse of the wave function for indeterminacy, which means it's computation all the way down, which means they have no free will or soul. Science.
Another long game.
That's true. No, that is true. Redheads are mutants, and they really do need more anesthesia to go under because they're not conscious like other people. They're just computers.
Poor Horsemen just lost all their ginger fans.
Yeah, one of them. It's extra funny to pretend to be prejudiced to redheads when you're red-green colorblind.
Ah, I didn't know that.
You can still see red though,
But redheads don't have like Spider-Man red hair. They have like a reddish hair, right? You can still smell them.
You don't like reds, but you love Putin. What's the story with that?
Yeah. He's red, white, and blue.
He stands America,
So,
he just gave a 3-hour speech. Didn't look like he had cancer.
So Scott, who's your least favorite poet or like playwright or whoever who has like tainted history? So one of the first, I'd say when I first started learning about this was with Longfellow with I think it's Longfellow. He wrote The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere, right? And how historically incorrect that is, but it's just what catches on.
Yeah,
and
Prescott did it, and at least Paul Revere did some of the ride. Like this lie about the man, if you start studying Native American history, anything from Custer to the Crow is Home, it's all bullshit, man. When you go back and read the real sources, it's always like really, really, really slanted. And you used to have that against African Americans and women more, but they had reform and they had movements, and that never really happened for natives. You had Russell Means was the closest thing, and
And so the history is still really screwed up. And it's not today, I don't think it's being done in an overt, like, hateful way. They're just kind of repeating shit that they don't even know is wrong.
Right.
And there needs to be an effort to go back in and, like, hold on, let's re-examine Custer, for example, and go through and see what really went down, and then teach that. But it needs to be done across the board, from Columbus straight through.
Well, they're still finding boarding school graves and stuff. I mean,
there's this whole philosophy called it actually began kind of in the 30s and died, and now it's back again. It's called seeing history from the bottom up instead of from the top down. And I forget the famous poet that wrote that the first couple lines you guys will probably recognize. It says, "Who built the 7 temples of Thebes?" And it goes on. It says, "The books are full of the names of kings that they hauled the cobbled granite and whatever." And it's this poem that's kind of saying how when we look at history, we look at the kings and the governors and the rulers on down. And a lot of that, especially when you get back like prior to 1800, most people were illiterate. So you don't really get to see the feelings and thoughts of the poor. And that's especially true the further back you go. And I think that with Native Americans, because they didn't have reading and writing, and then when they did, it was even smaller percentage that did that than English-speaking people. You don't really get that side told. And everything is just very much one perspective. And we do have to make an effort. I'm not like some off-the-wall liberal woke person at all. This is me being real as somebody that's just studied history. It really is slanted. Like, it actually, that's not just some woke bullshit. Like, it
happens both directions too, because with Native history, it's either overly romanticized or overly demonized. It's never just the truth. It's always like, oh, look, they are all egalitarian, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's bullshit. Or it's they're just a bunch of primitive ape people, whatever, which is also bullshit. It's always like one extreme or the other.
Animals or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess I don't really have a least favorite poet or whatever. I would say the thing that is bastardized history the most is the History Channel.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to pick with something, they're the worst ones. Without question, they're worse than the other networks like them. They are way, by far, the least accurate and have done a lot of damage to all kinds of history. So probably them. Vikings
too are another group that get lied about more than anything, I would say. Yeah. And that's happened too now because of these shows with shield maidens and all this ridiculous stuff. And I don't know, there's just not enough Norsemen around to be like, that's not us, that didn't happen, this happens with conspiracy stuff too, like when dealing with September 11th, for example. The kook movement is one. Like, you cannot bring that subject up without some retard that denies airplanes or, the bomb in every window and blah, 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 blah. And I just wrote a piece about kookification, but you don't even have to go back 400 years. Like, stuff that we were alive and witnessed happen has already gotten kookified. Every time there's a school shooting, there's going to be a crowd that says it's fake and crisis actors, whatever. Anytime there's a contrail, somebody's going to say it's a chemtrail. Anytime, it's like everyone's got their little interest group in to start kookifying things to the point where, I mean, look at this war in Ukraine. It's been nothing but deception. The second war in Iraq was nothing but deception. But when it gets corrected, like, oh, we went to war for oil. And like, no, we didn't. It's worse. But you'll just be shouted down because that's the narrative that goes around, because that's what gets amplified on YouTube and Twitter and stuff, and they turn the other volume down or completely off. And so how do you get the real history out there?
Yeah, I think more people are willing to look at the other information though, Ryan. I think people are hungry for it, like the work you're doing, Adam Fitzgerald. We try to talk about it as much as possible, the real evidence, the actual evidence. And I think you get across to people when you say, there'd be no paper trail back to the Malaysian summit or the CIA without Flight 77 hitting the Pentagon.
Right.
And if people really actually think about that, and it resonates,
The people who hear me say it.
then
But you know what I mean? Like, my voice is like this compared to Loose Change. It's reached millions with Alex Jones and all that. So it's taken 20 years to undo the damage that they did in like 2 weeks. You know?
Hey guys, I just want to shout out Adam Fitzgerald because he hit 2,000 subscribers on YouTube today. So,
hooray! He's been posting my videos too. Congrats.
If you guys don't know Adam, you can find his under the channels page on my YouTube channel. He's listed in the top section there. Go follow him and subscribe. He does a lot of great stuff.
I want a symposium of Nelson Martin and Adam Fitzgerald, maybe Kevin Barrett and myself, like a little round table 9/11 stuff. But I think 13 people would understand what we're doing. Because it is a complex thing. So is the Kennedy assassination, and like, if you're in it and you know all these names and you assume knowledge, and like the Jackmans would have fun talking about Kennedy with me, but a lot of people will be like, "Wait, who is that again? What is that?" It's just you need a course almost on the stuff, and unfortunately the kooks have taken it away.
Because I just watched this fantastic.
There's Carol Baskin on the grassy knoll.
Carol Baskin, bitch. Carol Baskin fired the fatal headshot from the sewer, fucking bitch.
But no, I just watched a great documentary, Ryan, called "The Assassination of Mrs. Payne," written, directed, and produced by Max Good. It's amazing.
Eric recommended that book to me, or that that documentary too. He said,
"Which one, Mrs. Payne's
The
Garage?
Mrs. Payne," and then I guess you guys talked to her recently, huh?
Mrs. Payne and the Assassination. I'm sorry, who recommended that to you, Ryan?
Eric.
Oh. No, I haven't talked to Ruth Payne. No, I doubt she would want to. She's going to be 90 this year, but we talked to Aaron Good. Is that?
Oh, okay, that's what it was then.
Yeah, so Aaron Good is not related to Max Good, who made the Mrs. Payne film, but Aaron Good has his own podcast called American. What's it called, Eric? American Exception or
American Exception?
Yeah, and he does fantastic work. He works with Oliver Stone and Jim DiEugenio, who's done some of the best.
Oh yeah, he's autographed a book for me, and then I'm the one that put him on the Israeli trail. By the way, that was my fault.
Well, that could be a whole other thread.
But that he had he's got some great books. But I was at his house. Actually, there's a good interview I did with him. Well, actually, no, there isn't. They got rid of my YouTube. But there was a video I did with him. I guess it's still an ANC report. It's about 2 hours, and he's solid. And
we're working on getting him on Jackman Radio, Ryan. Maybe you could join us for that.
I can. He knows me. I can get him on for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he does really great book reviews and film reviews when anything comes out about the Kennedy assassination. He's torn Gerald Posner a new asshole so many times that who even knows?
He's very good on Des Moines Shield and that whole segment of it too.
Before we totally go down.
Is Scott back?
Yeah, we have Corn Pop's Revenge.
Pop.
I wanted to ask.
The one what?
The one that I did with Ryan with I think that's what he called. Ryan, what is the name of that show where you talk to Corn Pop?
Oh, it was right after Corn Pop's Revenge. I think I just said I'm talking to Corn Pop, but it was Scott was Corn Pop. It was really funny, and from that time on to now, they've been going pop. But
he's a tough guy, Ryan. Hey, look, Kay, let me tell you.
He's about as real as the ghost of Kiev.
Actually knows how to wash my back, okay? Tucker Carlson don't know what he's talking about, man. Okay?
I learned a lot about roaches.
Come shower with Daddy. The hair used to stand up in my legs, and the kids would go. I learned about roaches that day when I was a swimming lifeguard, and I had to wash the chlorine off from the pool, and that's where Hunter and Ashley came in, and that's why they got addicted to crack.
They thought it was Parmesan cheese.
Parmesan DiGiorno.
I wanted to, Scott, when Ryan, I just saw Abby Martin of Empire Files just did a great little documentary about the victims of Wounded Knee, members of the Lakota tribe, and their remains and some of the artifacts from that being at an obscure Native American museum in Massachusetts. and then that pulled a thread of more people who collect remains and artifacts and all that sort of stuff from massacres or just Native Americans that aren't properly dealt with and buried. So I wanted to get your take on that and why you think there is such a fetish for some people to have
I wish she would talk to one of us about that.
Yeah.
It's
illegal to touch the bone to remove the bone, at all. Like, you can't keep that as a trinket or whatever. As far as artifacts go, they should go on display and not in some closet. I mean, it's fine if you're some farmer and you found an arrowhead and you took it home, whoop-de-doo. But if you're going out and like metal detecting and trying to, and you're going to known sites, so you're ruining the archaeological record for future science. And it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't like it. What we're doing is with a professional team, and everything is goes into the records. We're like honoring the tribe and telling their story, and everything goes on display. And we've worked it out to where everybody can see it for free. So you can't really beat that. But yeah, there's all kinds of laws. I think all 50 states it's illegal to touch the bones. I'll tell you.
Can I tell a funny story before you get into that? There was Scott mentioned Russell Means earlier from Lakota. He lost to Ron Paul by 1 vote to become the Libertarian candidate in '88. Really Chad guy, but some of his compadres, Dennis Banks, who's famous in AIM, the American Indian Movement, and Mary Moore, who was pregnant during the second siege of Wounded Knee, took a shovel, went to this archaeologist's like grandmother's grave and they weren't really digging, but they just started patting the ground and stuff. Like, what are you doing? He goes, well, I thought I'd dig up your grandmom, for science.
Yeah.
That put an end to that.
Specifically what Abby Martin was talking about. So I think, Scott, this is what you were saying. This museum in Massachusetts, in Barre, Massachusetts, is accused of violating the Native American Graves and Protection Act and hoarding objects stripped from Lakota people killed in the 1890 Wounded Knee Massacre. The museum is said to hold the largest known collection of objects from the massacre, spanning around 100 pieces, including human remains like scalps and locks of hair.
Yeah. You're not allowed to take artifacts from a grave either. Like when we found natives, it wasn't on purpose. First of all, it's not like we're going to some known site and digging up graves. This is, hey, where on the island did this tribe live? Because we're trying to get them back in the history books so they're not some word on a tree and that's it. And we're just trying to find pottery and pipes and that kind of thing. But when you do find skeletal remains, you gotta, if it's a flex burial or something obvious and it's a native grave, you have to notify the state and let them know about it. But then you can just respectfully rebury them, say a few words, and anything that's down there with them, some hematite hatchet or anything at all that is with them in that grave is left there. You can't take it. Not that we would even think about doing that anyway. Like, that shouldn't even have to be a law, but it is because some people don't care. But even if it wasn't,
well, in San Francisco, you'd have to make a law to say you can't have sex with the corpse.
I mean, I don't look at it any different than if we found a coffin and with some black or white dude in it and he had like his fishing pole with him. I would never take the fishing pole. I'd leave it there. It's there. They were buried with it. Yeah. So I agree with that law is what I'm saying. And yeah, it's broken all the time. You're supposed to do an archaeological survey before you build anything. And you're relying on the people doing the construction to tell on themselves when they do hit a big burial, and then they're going to lose their project. And so they don't report it, and a lot of that stuff just gets pushed to this corner and reburied. And I saw that happen a lot, and that's how I kind of knew where to go. It's like, well, let's go in the woods next to that house since they already ruined that area. It's probably, maybe it extends over here. And I was watching that go on for years, and it sucks. And all you can do is try to get in there and salvage what you can through archaeology before it's underneath some pink house or whatever. Because the way that we're on an island, it's getting developed like a motherfucker. And that's how it is at the entire coast of the United States. anywhere there's an ocean, you're going to have people that want to build massive 26-bedroom house with a pool there. So that's been going on, and you're not going to be able to stop that kind of money. So you just got to outrun them and find a lot that before they do, and get permission and dig and get all you can before they wreck it. We found a mid-woodland site from about the year 500 BC. Has nothing to do with the colony, but we were still piecing it together and trying to learn what we could. We came back the next year, and there was a septic field there and a house being built. You know.
We got a question here from Adam Fitzgerald. Throws in $10. Says, question for Scott: is there any credence that the Lumbee tribe are descendants from the Croatoans?
Not really. So the Lumbee tribe are Native Americans that live in North Carolina, and they're nowhere near the Outer Banks. And that idea was kind of pushed on them in 1885 when they were doing, every 100 years. That we call it centennial, whatever. They were trying to go it's hard to explain. Basically, no. They're a combination of Tuscarora and Corey and Machiponga and all these other different hodgepodge of tribes, kind of like the Seminole. So there are a bunch of different tribes from North Carolina, but Croatoan's not among them. Because the Croatoan tribe continued to live year-round on Hatteras Island for centuries, and we know that because there's records of it. And they never left and went inland to Lumberton. It's just a lot of tribes have tried to attach themselves to this story because it's a kind of a romantic thing. But no, it's a different language, different religion. It's the only thing they have in common with Croatoan is skin color. It's basically like Russia and Ireland or something. Like they different language and everything. So no, they have no connection. And a lot of the Lumbee themselves will tell you that. They're like, yeah, we know that. It's just a few that believe it. And that idea has been pushed hard, because then you can make the colony lost again. Because if they went inland, and this isn't just inland, this is like 5 hours in a car away, and we're talking about on foot. So they just walked by like, nope, don't like this river, let's go to the next one like 20 times and then settle over there. It just doesn't make any sense. Plus,
well, you mentioned the Tuscarora. They're trying to erase them, the southern Tuscarora.
They're still there.
I know.
They're still on the island now. So might be one family from the Lumbee that has some connection to Hatteras, because like one lady or guy moved there, but there was absolutely never like a mass migration, where the whole tribe packed up and started over there. There's no record of that whatsoever.
Eric, you want to do your impersonation that was requested?
Ron wanted Dave Smith.
Yep.
It's tough to do it out of the cold. We're joined here by my boy Reed Coverdale, host of the Naturalist Capitalist. The Reno reset was a big victory.
I said, why don't we nominate a libertarian? Bill Weld's not a libertarian. I don't think that's controversial to say that. He's on there sucking Hillary Clinton's dick. I'm paraphrasing, but there is footage of Bill Weld engaging in certain activities with Hillary. Yeah.
Bigger than Michelle Obama's.
What book did Scott Horton write?
Mike, you know what book it is.
Yeah.
Time to end the war in Afghanistan. By Scott Horton.
Enough already.
You gotta do the voice and talk about the Bin Laden.
I'm the guy who wrote the book Enough Already. Time to end the war in Afghanistan. And look, Reed, the Bin Ladenites, they met with Kathleen Kennedy at Disney. They were going to wokeify Luke Skywalker no matter what. They were like, we can't have Luke be the hero in The Force Awakens or Last Jedi. And they didn't. All the Bin Ladenites came in with the Trotskyites, and they said Luke's not going to be the hero. He's going to be sucking blue milk out of a teat of a bantha on an island that's made out of soy.
Fool's errand.
That's what they did. They did that.
Anti-war dude.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Scott Horton.
I'm the guy who wrote Enough Already. Time to End the War on Terror, financed by Dr. Pepper.
Neocons for breakfast. Yeah.
I think Scott Ritter needs a Diet Coke sponsor.
That's pretty good. Scott didn't even know his name, and he knew who you were pretending to be. That's pretty good, Mike. So.
Oh, good. That is good. Yeah, I love Lord Horton. Is
I listened to him on before the Ukraine war, and he gave a really compelling argument about how it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
And it, like 3 weeks later, it did. And then I'm like, oh, I wonder what he's going to say now. So I listened to him again, and he admitted, I was wrong about whatever.
He said, I was wrong for the first time ever.
Well, I mean, his arguments made sense. I think he was just wrong.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Hey, I'm with him. I was wrong too.
Yeah, me too. A lot of us were wrong. Dan McAdams, tons of people.
We're willing to admit that we were wrong about.
I got it right.
Yeah.
But I understand why a lot of people got it wrong, because it wasn't going to happen until they rolled out heavy artillery on the 17th of February and started hitting Donbass. Then it was inevitable. But it's hard. It's like, no, they couldn't be that stupid. But I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's government, so they absolutely are that stupid. They just, if you look at the oligarchs that are really behind the war and how much prep and time they put in to get this going, you knew it was going to happen. But if you're looking at it from the perspective of like what the leadership is saying, they said, like, look at all, they're lying. Okay, they didn't have a Maidan coup for fun. Okay, they're not pushing and shelling Donbass for 8 years to not go to war with Russia, right? It was going to happen.
Well, I mean, even the Pope has had to come forward and say, "Well, there might be something to everything that's going on, provoking the bear and spending all this money with NATO." I mean, even the Pope has kind of said recently that there's been shit going on.
What does Lindsey Graham think about the Roanoke colony?
Oh, I'll tell you what I think about them. I love their loincloths. I love those. I love the loincloths. I want to know who designed those because my sister wants some. Asking for a friend. asking for a friend. My first lady, aka my sister, who gives me all my makeup advice.
He's so far in the closet he can see Narnia in his rearview mirror.
So far in his own end zone that he can see his own end zone.
Yeah, yeah, he's sniffing paint off the field goal post.
We love Lindsay. We've had a lot of fun with Lindsay, Eric. Dude, remember when him and Andy Card and Jeb Bush came out with the big neocon at your college?
That was
remember
everything.
Did he talk about boots?
Look, Ryan, I wish we could send Tom Cruise over there and L. Ron Hubbard to bomb the shit out of him. If there was, I'd do it. If there was another way to do this Top Gun or Bottom Gun style, I'd do it. We gonna have to shine them boots.
It's gonna take boots.
What's the chick that looks like the 101 Dalmatian?
Oh, Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Cruella DeVille. Yeah.
Yeah. Ice cream. She was in Chinatown saying, "Hey, come over here, bring it over here," and I said, "We're gonna shut it down."
What'd you say? She looked like a drunk crab apple, had a nutsack taped to it or something like. Her face.
Guys, I just had a moment here where Ryan Dawson's brother doesn't even know Nancy Pelosi's name, and it just made me think, like.
No, he does. Ryan... He was setting up a joke.
Oh, okay. You are.
Yeah,
okay, never mind.
That chick is, but
all right.
She does look like the bad guy from the Dalmatian movie.
Yeah.
Cruella. Skinning puppies.
Nancy Pelosi is a very nasty lady, and she's a horrible, wretched, warmongering cunt bag like Liz Cheney. Believe me.
Both Liz Cheneys.
I had to revisit Chuck and Nancy in the White House with Mike Pence and Trump.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, that was basically your question there, Eric.
What was the question?
Do you think DeSantis will run with Tulsi Gabbard or somebody?
Oh man, I'd love to see that. Well, a lot of people. Oh, sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
That was my question. Like, or do you think DeSantis will run at all?
Yes, I think he's gonna run.
He's gonna rerun for governor.
People want it. Yeah, he's definitely rerunning for governor and get reelected, but that could set him up nicely for 24.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really just comes down to how damaged the Emir will be from the January 6th bullshit and how people will perceive him for going on about the election fraud and all of that, and who's going to look stronger and more viable between him and DeSantis. And then I tell this to people. A lot of people forget that Tulsi and Ron DeSantis served in they were both elected into Congress together in the same class, elected in 2012, started serving in 2013. So they were in Congress together for a few terms, both Iraq war veterans, you know, military, big a lot of respect amongst people, you know, in the military and that sort of thing. So I don't know how close of friends they were, but I could certainly see if DeSantis, you know, got the nomination or had a lot of influence in the 2024 primary, that he would probably at least consider listening to Tulsi or having her as an advisor, a national security advisor, foreign policy advisor, something like that.
Make her queen of Hawaii.
I mean,
foreign policy advisor would be good because he sucks on foreign policy.
So,
I just want Donald Trump to be the new press secretary.
yeah, exactly. So we're going to come out here. We're going to talk about Chelsea Gabbard and King DeSantis. She's doing great. But no, Scott, a lot of people talk about DeSantis and Tulsi teaming up or being some kind of ticket. I can just say it would be a massive improvement from fucking Shakala and Brandon, for sure.
She's a different party, though.
I listened to her on when she was on Rogan for like an hour, and then I don't know. I watched the debates and a little, you know. I don't get into it like Ryan, but I did at least watch that, and she seemed like the least bad one.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
No, she was the best out of all of them, and that's how Reed and I know each other. We both worked on her campaign here in New Hampshire. I worked on her campaign for a year, and got to know her. I know her really well, and she's genuinely a good person, and she does care about the United States. And I think big picture, she's pretty much on the same page.
I agree. Her skin was glistening. Wait, is that not what you said?
Like that was like in shape and into exercise, like and eating healthy. That could be like a leader and a role model. Like that would be amazing.
100%.
To have somebody that could like go up a flight of stairs and not
fall off a bike. Oh no, Tulsi do fucking laps around anybody running for president.
Dude, Ron Paul could still ride a bike in his 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, do Ron Paul talking about riding a bike.
Well, you can come down on a Texas summer here. I'm 87 years old. You can come with a bike ride on a Texas summer. Dan McAdams. We're riding a bike around in Texas heat. I challenge you to come try and ride with me. You probably won't be able to do it because the Federal Reserve is spending so much money.
I bet his bike is made of gold.
Like you can golden brackets that they stole from Raiders of the Lost Ark when Rand was there with the Dunboss. I was there, Dad. Thank you. I did get that gold. We gave it to you, and he rode on the bike. They didn't honor that. Dr. Fauci couldn't even see that because he got his long COVID. Even though he's had 78 boosters, he still continues to get long COVID. And I think there needs to be some accountability about that. And I think people who work for Pfizer should have to talk about, or at least divulge, where their money comes from. I don't care if I'm talking to a screen or I'm talking to a booster or maybe even a boop boop in the arm. I want to know where that money's coming from, Mr. Fauci. No amount of coughing can bring you back from that.
Did y'all see how he got COVID the day before he was supposed to talk to Rand Paul at another hearing?
Yeah.
Dude, Rand Paul's just been fucking crushing it. Can we just all admit that?
Yeah.
That Rand Paul hasn't been fucking crushing it on this issue.
Especially on the Fauci virus.
The vanguard for liberty on this issue.
The only one who's been good on it, you know.
He's like, oh, Rand, I'm not gonna answer that, Rand. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about that.
Dr. Paul, you're wrong.
My wife's you're wrong about that. It's dangerous disinformation. I gotta pull my wife's hand out of my asshole. Fuck that guy.
Mike,
you're circles around him, dude.
Mike, your Ron has gotten really good. I can tell you've been practicing.
You know, I did Ron Paul. I started impersonating Ron Paul in 2006 when I first met him at his very first New Hampshire house party, where we were surrounded by a lot of guns, but I never felt more safe. More guns equals less crime. This is one thing Sununu has gotten right in New Hampshire, folks. Since they did the concealed permit, the concealed carry, crime has actually gone down. Google it, Larry Silver's in Building 7 Bullet. But Ron Paul in 2006 is different than the Ron Paul in 2020. I mean, because he's aged like a little bit, not much, maybe like that.
Infowars.com.
It's crispy. I mean, he could probably. I saw Paul McCartney play a 3-hour show, and they could probably see Ron Paul do a 3-hour show for Liberty and probably not break a sweat.
That was the most shocking thing in Texas. Like, I didn't know he was 6'5".
Rand's like, he's Chad. No, he's taller than you think. He is.
He is. He's got big hands, and He can bench press 900 pounds. He taught Chuck Norris how to kick. That's what I heard.
What about the photo of him for Father's Day, Eric, of him and Rand on the bike, and Congressman Dr. Ron Paul is wearing his military outfit?
Everything, dude. Little baby Rand and Dr. No, just Americana.
Yeah. They used to sprinkle a little bit of gold in my cereal. That's why I can't get long COVID. There was gold in my cereal.
That's better than colloidal silver.
Yeah.
Colloidal silvers.
I put colloidal silver in Rex's, okay? You can get a jar, a toothpaste tube of that on Infowars.com. Save Infowars. Sandy Hook bankrupt Infowars.com. We need the money, okay? I'm not worth $100 million. I'm worth like $5 million. It's not that.
Is that coming tangy tangerine?
We got Tang. We got Stanley Kruger talking about Tang. We got him talking about Room 237. We have all that there, Ryan. Infowars.com.
Scott's like, what did I sign up for?
Hey guys, Scott's got to go. Say again, Scott, just so everyone can hear
I
it.
gotta get some stuff done, man. But thanks for having me on. You guys are hilarious.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. And I go down to Ocracoke Island. I moved back. I was living out west for a while, but I moved back out here. I've been down there several times. We'll have to meet up sometime and grab a drink or something.
Yeah, I think we're gonna film something there next.
Oh yeah.
Scott, tell him your new Pirate's Handbook and where to get it.
Oh yeah, it's called. Well, it's not even out until Tuesday, but it's called Dark Waters: The True Story of Blackbeard, the King of Pirates. Really long name, but yeah, that I guess comes out Tuesday, and it's about the Hall of Fame pirates. You would say.
Sweet.
Although most people, if you ask them to name a pirate besides Blackbeard, they can't.
Congress.
yeah, Congress.
I know two pirates, Blackbeard and Edward Teach. Thank you very much.
Bluebeard.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the characters in Pirates of the Caribbean, I think it's the 5th one, is Blackbeard.
Edward.
All of the documents call him Edward Thatch, except for two. There's a Boston newspaper that says Teach once, and in the trial of Stead Bonnet, which is another pirate that sailed with him, is referred to as Teach in that one of the times. But you're living they're living in a day where there was no universal spelling, so people would spell like Woods Rogers' name is spelled 3 different ways in the same document. That's somebody's name that was a naval officer. So we don't know what his name was.
Let's see. We got Sam Bellamy. That's a pirate, right?
Yeah, Sam Bellamy.
Captain
Blackbeard for a little while too.
Captain Kidd.
Yeah, he's earlier.
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I used to know all sorts of them when I was a kid. Well,
Drake.
Thanks, Scott, for coming on. Is there any? All right, go ahead, Eric.
Oh, I was going to say, Scott, I definitely want to have you and Ryan on Jackman Radio with Mike and I, and we can do a twin bonanza extravaganza.
Yeah, you got it.
Sounds good.
I'm down. So.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
By saying, go to hell, Richard Pearl.
There you go. Fuck Lincoln. I agree. Richard Pearl's the worst neocon.
That's a real Dawson way to end things. Fuck Richard Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Ladine, too.
I made a hate Richard Pearl holiday.
That's going to be a great day when he shuffles.
Dude, Ryan, no offense, but I think your brother chose like the more peaceful route. Like I'm just like imagining like just digging stuff up and researching history instead of like rape rings and shit. It must be so much more.
Yeah, but he also worked as a bouncer at a bar and like beat the fuck out of people. So.
Saying he's Chad.
Well, I can't. I mean, I'm guilty of lots of fighting myself, but I'm just saying we're not peaceful people.
Yeah.
Well,
But
it's part of his nickname from the Texas trip.
there's quite a bit of rape and murder in the Indian history too. Look up Ralph Lane sometime. That's right up. But yeah, nothing like Epstein.
Oh,
Which is I'm glad. I mean, that would be horrible.
So, guys, I think we should bring up that 2 days ago, the UK approved the extradition of Julian Assange to the United States. So I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about that. Ryan, do you know, is there any, like, I mean, what's the best case scenario at this point? Is there any hope for anything, or do you kind of given up at this point.
Well, he's got 2 more shots at appeals, but it's not going to matter. Like, the state, and I'll just call it the state, because it's all of them, they're 100% against him. And what's he even held on? Right? Hacking, and the main witness against him admits he made it up. That we all know why he's really there. Because he told on the government for their crimes. He didn't reveal government secrets. He revealed government crimes. And that'll get you in trouble. Because the world is run by criminals.
There's even still some politicians in Australia who are actually trying to get him to not be sent back to the U.S., where he's surely going to get the book thrown at him. So good on them. I don't think it's going to do much at this point.
He'll still rot in jail in Australia. You know what I mean? Like, he shouldn't be in jail at all.
No,
it's
he
just
should be freed immediately.
Absolutely. And I've never seen an issue with a more clear divide between the politicians and the public. Like, almost the entire public, right, left, center, and normal, want him out. Like, what did he do? He admitted the crimes we did in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're like, well, did we do them? Yeah. Then he told the truth. What's wrong with that? But every politician on both sides of the aisle are like, let him hang, right? Only a few, Tulsi, Sarah Palin, who's not a politician anymore, a few have come out and said,
Actually, is Ryan, she's running for Congress, man. She won the nomination.
Oh, well, she had been governor of Alaska, so okay, well, then good on her. But look at how they demonize her, right? They made her seem like the stupidest person in government, which is definitely Kamala Harris. But they made it seem like it was Palin, because now and then she'd say something smart. Now and then she'd say something moral.
Base Georgia mommy spoke out for Assange today too.
Dude, I love Marjorie Taylor.
Oh yeah,
anyone says I want to fucking cross.
She's our
dude, I want to go hunt
AOC.
Dude, I want to go. I want to go track down the HARP energy weapons she was talking about. Dude, I'm so here for all of that.
the Death Star of David that she was talking about. The space.
Like the Death Star, dude.
That's in C Lab 2021. They talked about like the 5G bankers that had a giant spaceship like the Star of David that controlled everything. It was funny.
And let me just say, Lauren Boebert did nothing wrong, okay? She's an amazing woman. She's a patriot. She's serving her country, and no one handles a Glock 9 better than Lauren Boebert. Believe me, okay?
Dude, I love her too. That picture of her and Marjorie.
Yeah, they were like,
Congress, just like screaming at whoever.
Dude, we
need more of that.
We need 300 of them cut loose into Congress, and I want them to have not only Twitter accounts, I want them to have OnlyFans accounts. So you can pay to have
Charlie Sheen's daughter with them in a threesome.
You can fucking request to have Lauren Boebert in lingerie and Marjorie Taylor Greene dressed in fatigues go and hunt down fucking AOC in the halls of Congress. You can actually pay for it, and they'll go and do it for you.
Yeah. Oh, they'll do it for free.
Yeah.
You need a Boebert bobblehead, but she's got like a pistol going like that or something.
Yeah, but it bobbles like this too.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Boebert.
Look, no, she's everything.
She's
they're Boebert too, Reed.
She's Boebert?
She's a Boebert and a Bortitarian.
Yeah, he's just throwing buzzwords out. A little bit more, Rothbardian. Shout out to Mr. Travel. Thoughts on how much worse the shortages are going to get?
Yeah. Worse. That must be referencing my travel woes. Well, we're having a shortage on tampons now. Right, Mike?
Yeah, I do, because it actually needs them all.
Oh, God.
I had to buy them for Ashley.
Leah Thomas, God bless her soul. She needs them in the deep end with her supersonic hyper missile and yellow submarine. Come on.
It's got a TOS 1A down there. Hey, eyes up here, boys.
Ever see Das Spook? That's about Leah Thomas in the pool. Jurgen Prochnow is in that, and then K9 Widowmaker with Harrison Ford.
Donald Trump, talk about Rita doing his lift. Did you see?
So strong doing those squats, and you couldn't believe the schlong. It was unbelievable. It was almost like the schlonging Obama gave to Hillary in the 08 primary. He did. He came in the primary and he schlonged her. He schlonged her. But we need tough, we need strength, and that is a beautiful woman.
We need tough, and we need strength, and we need brain, and we need
wall.
We need wall. Yes.
Excuse me. Quite frankly, we need. He's like, we need it fast. Excuse me, Don. We need it quick, and we need it fast, and we need it furious. Okay.
We have Oreos.
Think about it.
What do you guys think?
Think about it.
DeSantis versus Trump, man. Is that the GOP Civil War?
Dude,
Can you say I'm a veteran?
So Reed, you want it. A lot of the MAGA people don't want it because.
Well,
it's
I
the
don't
MAGA
care,
message.
dude. I don't care.
But,
I don't care which one of them wins. I just like want the blood. I mean,
but
can
but
you
if they-
imagine? Dude, it
they-
would be like Trump versus Ted Cruz, but if Ted Cruz had balls and could like hit back, like
If Ted
because you
Cruz
got
was
Trump. Trump is the unstoppable force, and DeSantis is the unmovable object.
Yeah,
so
dude, DeSantis
you've got
is
like
Chad.
the king of haymakers and fucking insults coming against the. Excuse me, no, that's not correct. Actually, while I was governor, I did this, Mr. President. While you fast tracked the vaccine, and it'll be like, excuse me, you took the vaccine, you just didn't admit it. You know, like, oh, yeah.
Well, which one?
So
Which
ready
one will
to
say
watch.
they
Like,
use the
wrong.
most mouthwash? They use Netanyahu's jizz for mouthwash the most. Who's gonna?
Dude, I don't
say that,
think.
Ryan.
I think DeSantis is more of a sincere, like, neocon than Trump. Like, Trump, he just didn't fucking care about any of it. You know, like, he didn't really care about Israel, or I mean, just like he got
Ivanka
swept
went over
into
there. She
it.
flashed her tits in the West
Yeah,
Bank, and some people died. And they
Trump was a ruthless, amoral businessman that was always on the side of money. So, like, when it comes to, like, Saudi or Yemen, he's going to side with Saudi because they have money and Yemen doesn't. Israel and Palestine, he's going to side with Israel because they have money and Palestine doesn't. Like, but, you know, when he came to, like, Syria versus Al-Qaeda, he's like, well, he's not going to support Al-Qaeda. He's like, let Russia handle it or whatever. He didn't want any part in it. Because he's like, there's no business opportunity here. What are we doing? So sometimes that would overlap with the right thing, and sometimes it didn't. But he wasn't like ideologically a Zionist. He was just more or less Jews donate a lot of money and Palestinians don't. So I'm going to side with them. I mean, is that? Yeah.
Netanyahu's my fourth wife. Okay, I didn't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. He's my fourth wife. Okay?
So
he
I
puts
think
out a lot more than Melania does.
I think DeSantis is actually. I think he was actually okay on Syria when he was in Congress. It was like the only thing he was really okay on foreign policy, but he wasn't. I remember seeing a video clip of him saying, "Why are we supporting these moderate rebels? We don't know who they are, even though we, did know who they were." But he was at least like cautious about supporting them, so that's good. But
yeah, it's hard though. I think DeSantis is undeniable. Reed, like the last.
Oh, dude, he is.
The last week, I've really found myself falling hard for him. How Chad he is and how based he is.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's based.
His war
like,
with Disney,
there's no doubt.
Dude, him going to war with Disney, that pedophile mafia, dude, I'm here for that. Okay.
DeSantis is Italian, Trump is German. Axis reunification. Oh, God.
And I'm in Japan.
And the nuke is in my pants.
Oh. He's got.
No, I'm here for whenever DeSantis comes to New Hampshire. Reed, we're going to be there waiting for him.
Oh, dude, we got to get him on the Four Horsemen.
Get him on the show.
Lindsay loves the Enola Gay.
I did. I put the granola on the granola gay.
So, guys, the other thing I want to bring
We get
up
you get Tulsi on here too.
Yeah,
What's
well,
that?
you know, that was supposed to happen, but
We'll try.
I did want to bring up one other serious thing. So the war in Yemen has been in a ceasefire for a couple months, and there's a war powers resolution. It's bipartisan in the House, and it's been introduced to the Senate. So if you call your local representatives in your state, you can apparently if you call this number 1-833-STOP-WAR and then ask for a yes vote, that will direct you to where you want to go. But it is House Resolution 87, and it was introduced by Democrats, but then it's been co-sponsored by some Republicans like Thomas Massey, and just I know like we don't pass war power resolutions very often, but we did actually pass a similar one. I think it was in 2017 to end the war in Yemen, and it passed the House and Senate, and then Trump vetoed it. So
it passed.
Biden will do.
They didn't care about Yemen though. They just didn't want Saudi Arabia buying S-300s from Russia, and then instead of our gear. But whatever, take it as a W.
Yeah.
Like if they're gonna do it because they're pissed at that Saudi Arabia is not giving us oil and they're buying weapons from Russia, fine.
Exactly.
Just take your wins where you can get them.
Because
I'm
they
just
hung
saying,
up on
like,
Biden,
this-
right? They hung up on him.
They hung
Yeah,
up. On
they hung up on Biden. Yeah. And then they made a show, like an SNL show, mocking him.
The ruble is fucking crushing it right now, isn't it? I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's stronger than it's ever been in the last like 6 years.
they're crushing it worse than Meghan McCain at a Golden Corral.
My father killed a lot of people in Vietnam.
You know, The View.
I'm gonna wear Trump's skin mask and primary him from the right.
Oh yeah, Tim Dillon. He's like, before my father died, I had a baby with him. It will be raised in captivity. It will be bred to be the greatest politician that's ever lived. I'm gonna wear my father's skin mask and primary Trump from the right. Yeah, dude. Tim Dillon's Meghan McCain impression, Trump's any impression I've ever.
He looks just like her.
Yeah, he does.
Like if she lost a little weight, yeah. Yeah.
If she shaved her whiskers a little bit too, you know. So.
They have about the same facial hair.
You know what? And that's the thing, dude. Like with comedy and with politics, like we say some things that are edgy, some things that are a little bit edgy. We say some things that are a little bit disgusting. There's nothing more disgusting than the wars that these people launch and the death and the genocide that's going on. So anything the four of us say could not possibly be any worse or any more disgusting than the policies that these politicians support and what's actually going on in the real world right now. So, you know.
Oh yeah. Also, if you are in New Hampshire and they start calling you for polls for Senate, your answer is Jeremy Kauffman, Libertarian. They're going to ask you. I don't even remember what the Republican. I don't know if the Republican primary is over yet, but it's Maggie Hassman, the Democrat. Right? Yeah, we're going to get him on the Four Horsemen. He's coming on soon.
And then
either next month or the one after.
And asking to vote on repealing the 19th, we vote yes.
The 19th Amendment?
Which has caused more issues, the Second Amendment or the 19th Amendment?
Oh, hands down, the 19th.
Yeah.
I mean, that really began the downfall of civilized society when that shit happened, you know? I mean, Saudi Arabia, they don't know what that is over there, I mean, because they can't even get to their cars through their burqas. But yeah, the 19th really was the beginning of the end in so many ways. Really
I'm just going to play the War is Gay commercial because if no one has seen this, they have to. Oh, hold on one second. Here we go.
This gets my vote, just this commercial.
Oh, it's incredible.
Is it incredible?
He took a meme and turned it into a video.
Not only that, Dawson, it became true during Pride Month when the Marines had the gay rainbow bullets.
Is that real?
Innocent people in the Middle East, they're having dinner. A bomb is dropped on their house, and they're all killed. What's the problem with this? It's being done by white men. I am Jeremy Kauffman, the Chief Diversity Officer at Halliburton and candidate for United States Senate. It is time to diversify the murderous military-industrial complex. We need to make the nukes gay. And that's why I'm running for office. Like my fellow Democrats and Republicans, I will support every war. I will support stealing billions of dollars from Americans to kill innocent people, but we are gonna make it so gay. It will go down in the history books. We will say never have so many genders and so many races killed innocent people. Let's bomb Yemen, but let's make sure a rainbow of skin colors are dropping those bombs. These are going to be the gayest transist murders the United States has ever performed. That's what I stand for as the Chief Diversity Officer at Halliburton, and that's what I'll do once elected to the United States Senate. I'm Jeremy Kauffman, and I'm gay for this message.
I love where he's the birthing person of all bombs.
That's the best political ad I've seen like ever.
Dude, and then the Marine Corps when they
what about Homogard?
Rainbow bullets ad
that
like
really
a month
happened,
ago.
Reed. Yeah, I don't think Dawson believes me. That really happened.
That's not Babylon B?
No, dude.
man.
This is like the crack pipe story. I can't believe I'm not on Twitter. You know that.
They fucking put out their message.
Oh, yeah.
Pride Month, our bullets are going to be dipped in pig blood and they're rainbow colored.
Yeah, dude. The tips of the bullets were different rainbow colors, so we just spammed it with that political ad because we were ahead of the curve on that one by like 2 months.
Yeah, Reed, you called that before it happened. You said that
I mean,
was
it's
good.
not like that's the first time they've done something like that. Like the woke CIA ad and shit. You know, they've been doing it for a while. But
And Liz Cheney's going to save our republic, that little Halliburton cum dumpster. She is going to save the republic.
Or that the army recruitment ad with the girl who has 2 moms getting married and all that stuff.
Dude, so dumb.
Hey, you know what, man? I think it's time that the LGBTQIA become genocidal. They can be just as genocidal as straight people. I agree. Why not?
My 1-year-old, this is hilarious. Somebody was saying LGBTQ or whatever, and he goes C D E F G because he thought they were singing the alphabet.
Dawson's kids are fucking Giga Chad.
They're Giga based. Yeah.
Giga Chad and Giga based.
My youngest is a little bulldozer.
That Kaufman ad is everything, dude. And
Dude, it really is.
It just sums it up so beautifully, and I don't know, man. If you can't see that or process that, and
It's that indirect truth, you know. Well, like both parties, I too will waste billions of dollars and murder people. I'm just going to do it in a gayer way, and it's a way of saying, yeah, both parties waste billions of dollars and murder people. But when you add a joke to it,
playing into the woke bullshit that we have going on.
I also added that. I
Yeah.
saw this today. It was
Mike.
so true.
That's on my
See
Telegram.
how powerful it is. See what can defeat it, though, Mike.
Wait, who's that in the middle? I know, but he can. Is that Thor?
Yeah, it is Thor.
It's
but
the scene from Hela and Thor. She's in, you can't beat me because I know, but he can. Send it. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Dude, all you can do is laugh at all of it.
Dude, have you seen the image of like all the corporations for Pride Month changing to the rainbow flag, and then it shows like
The Arab
BMW,
countries?
Saudi Arabia, and it's still just black.
Well, excuse me, Reed. To the kingdom's credit, they put out a gold-plated picture of Khashoggi's head, and it was rainbow-colored.
Would you see what the Chechen leader said? They asked him.
Egypt did a very nice thing of Muhammad Atta. He was boarding his plane, and it was very nice. Egypt did a great job of that, by the way. Okay, they said great things about the way Muhammad Atta flew. Okay, the British pilot program. But yeah, Saudi Arabia. Do you think they're going to sign up for the Rainbow Coalition, or
No,
we can support them?
they will not. They asked the Chechen leader about the abuse of gays and this and that, and he just looked confused, and he waits for the translation, and he just starts laughing. He goes, "You don't," and the woman's like, "You don't throw out gays, you don't abuse, you don't shoot them," and he goes, "We don't have such people." He's like, "What is that's you have those kind? We don't have those kind of people."
Well, somebody went from the Blaze, who was working with Alex Stein, to a Pride parade, a Pride rally, and they all had Ukraine flags, and they were like, Ukraine banned gay marriage. And like, oh, we don't like that, but they don't know about that,
Dude, they don't know anything. Dude, Alex Stein going after Dan Crenshaw and
Yeah.
Patch McKean, you're a rhino. You're a rhino. I Patch McKean. Come on.
When Alex Stein got the shout out from the swim TikToker, I sent that to Don Fry, and he said, if you ever send me something like that again, I'm going to show up at your house. Don Fry was a pride fighter, right? I was like, who would this mess with the most that I could send it to? So I'm going to send it to Pat Miletich too, but
just the people, Reed, that we've come in contact with and we now have in our atmosphere and our sphere because of all this. I mean, the big picture thing is, dude, we are resistant to the empire, and then other things and other views trickle down. But, dude, who has more fun than we do? Seriously,
Nobody.
Come on. We are resisting clown world, and we're having a fucking blast doing it. And that's why we do what we do. And folks, this is a perfect time right now to tell you to go to toplobster.com. For Horsemen, we got merchandise, folks. We got new shirts, we got thongs, we got butt plugs, we got lube, we got it all, folks. Dawson, we don't really have a
Homagard.
Yeah, Homo Guard. Go in there right now. You type in Ryan Dawson, get 20%.
It's a male chastity phallic blocker for your home health and defense.
But I want to see people buying Four Horsemen gear, tagging us in it. Tag me in it on Twitter. I'm the last man standing on Twitter. I'm the last horseman riding on Twitter right now.
I was wearing the naturalist capitalist gear when I lost my shit in the airport. I went off on these people. They're so incompetent. And it's not like, well, there's only two major airlines really anymore, American and United. They're both just fucked. They are Satan. They made me a believer.
Eric, some people in the chat want to hear the story about when you confronted Ted Cruz dressed as Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's the website. Yeah, Top Lobster. I'll have to send you the picture, Dawson. But I showed up to a Ted Cruz rally. A T-shirt company hired me to go dressed as Donald Trump and promote their T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And I went dressed as Donald Trump, and I behaved myself, and they let me in. They couldn't kick me out. I didn't make a scene or anything. And then with the afterwards, when you could go say hi to Cruz and like get a picture with him or something, I waited my turn, and his goons were looking at me like, "Who the fuck is this guy? He's dressed like Donald Trump. What's going to happen here?" And it finally got to my turn, and Cruz looked at me. He's like, "Oh, who's the hell boy?" And I said, "Ted, great speech. But if you drop out today and you endorse me for president, maybe I'll make you ambassador to your home country of Canada. Maybe." And I said that to him, and Cruz is like, "Ha ha 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 ha." And we took a picture together of us pointing at each other, and then they got me the fuck out of there as fast as they could.
He was like, ha ha ha, and doing the signal, like, get him out of here.
This fat fuck out of here, dressed like Trump. But that's the kind of fun stuff we do here, and we're going to keep doing it, especially now that Reed's back. We're going to really reach the infinite with it.
Is that Kennedy behind you there? On the, I seen the poster. No, the red. There's a red block.
Oh yeah.
Is it Pootie?
Looks like JFK.
That's Jack. Yeah, that's one of our that's our last great president.
Oh, nice.
I said we have Israel. You got to register as a foreign agent, and you can't be stealing nuclear secrets. Boom.
Oh, that's something you got to see, Mike.
What's that, Dawson?
New Mech in a few days, hopefully. I got to deal with the IRS today.
Trailer gave me heart palpitations.
Oh, did it? It's dude. It's It's the best production value of any of my films ever, hands down.
Amazing.
It's
There's
good.
nothing fun about it, Mike. But dude, after you watch it, you're just like, oh
yeah. You need a shower and you need some heartburn medicine or something.
He connects it all, Mike.
I turned around after it was done, and the whole audience was smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm putting in the photo of Eric with Ted Cruz.
Nice.
Oh, for me to share.
Into the chat, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, maybe Reed, you could share it. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Ryan,
should be able to share the screen on your end, Mike, and then I can add it.
See, I can.
I just put it in the private chat and the on Eric's Trump website.
Yeah, Ryan.
Okay.
Nice.
You got to be commended, Ryan, for that New Mac documentary. I'm not going to give too much of it away, but folks who are watching right now, when you just I want to tell you, I had a chance to see the whole thing in Texas. With Ryan and Reed, yeah, there it is. Ryan, Ted, I'll make you ambassador to Canada, Ted. But
the Canadian.
And dude, Trump fucking dragged his ugly wife Heidi through the mud, and Cruz still fucking bend the knee to the king. It's just everything.
It's so incredible. You leave Heidi the hell out of this, and then
out of it. Global jihad.
Then I farted. He put it in a mason jar and he sniffed it.
But, yeah,
we don't know if sand can glow in the dark, but we're gonna find out. So.
But, and you got Ted Cruz's father is there with Lee Harvey Oswald in the grassy knoll, if you could believe it.
I kept doing that in Texas, going up to people with my hands like that and checking like if they glue in the dark.
That's awesome, Mike. But no, the New Mac documentary, there is nothing fun about it, Mike, but it's vital information.
It is.
Wait till you people see it.
Just pointing out.
There's a couple jokes.
It was a group of guys. There were a few girls in there, but mostly guys. Guys tend to fall asleep watching movies more often, and all of us had been up partying late into the night, and we had just sat through like a 3.5 hour conference, which was great, but it was a 3.5 hour conference, and then we all had just eaten a big meal, and then we sat down, and
there's like a loud air conditioner playing too.
No one fell asleep during the presentation because it was good. So just saying.
I was also in the room.
It's true.
If someone fell asleep, I'm like,
Chief sitting base will tomahawk you.
the steel chair from the third turnbuckle. No.
Well, Ryan, I fell asleep the first time because I was running on like 4 hours of sleep over. Like,
I know.
days, so I was like,
I told you I don't sleep much.
yeah,
He doesn't, does he, Reed? Reed, he
does
doesn't
not
sleep
much. He does not.
A lot of people say that, but like I for real, I don't know. My mind's always going.
Oh, yeah, I've been taking melatonin lately, dude, to sleep. Seriously, I've needed it. I've had sleepless nights too. This shit, it's disturbing. But you know what? We're fucking big boys, man, and it's our fucking responsibility to get this out to people, and by hell or high water. So I was really inspired by the documentary, Ryan, and it's empowering, and you can get this to people. It's tough to fire hose it and show them this, but if you tell them a few things and you can like connect it to stuff that they might know about it, that could be like an opening.
Well, it connects to Epstein and other things, and
Right.
I feel like I don't expect someone to absorb all that info in one shot because it's information rich, like a lot of my films are, I guess. But that's what happened. I don't know how to make it more simple. It's the truth, and I mapped it out literally of what was going on, and
Dude,
but
the
once you
photo
understand
you
that,
showed me of the crime map?
you've got the model for how they move
I gotta
arms
pull
and
it
people
up.
around.
Incredible.
Oh, the crime.
Yeah, get some of the pictures up from the trip.
Oh, Ron Paul saw the Biden crime syndicate.
They
Yeah,
seem like nice people. They all seem like nice people.
that's what he said.
Hoarding all the money.
Like, very nice people.
There were very fine people on both sides of New Mexico. Believe me.
Eric, does the king come back in 24
Oh,
for the one final?
He might. We'll see. January 6th never happened. The Capitol was a hologram. Believe me. But dude, just the picture, Mike, of Reed, myself, and Dawson.
I know. No, I know.
Come on.
Look at him, the fourth horseman.
Dude, Chief Sitting Based, Dr. No, Trump, and Nat Cap.
I didn't know he's like 20 feet back, so because he's taller than all of us. He's like 6'5".
He's actually taller than Ryan. He's 2 inches taller than Ryan.
Yeah, he's he's huge.
He's crispy though and intact. What is he, Mike? 87?
Yeah, he's 87 this year.
Wow, do it, Mike.
Well, I think if you want to get breast milk, and you should have unregulated breast milk and unpasteurized, unhomogenized breast milk, you should be able to have that. What do you think, Dan?
Yes, Dr. Paul. I think that we should talk about that for the next 20 minutes. And accuse him. It's just everything. No, Ron Paul did very well. There it is.
I was sick as fuck, but I look happy because I'm next to Dr. Paul.
Dawson's just like Rosemont Seneca.
Yep.
Hunter's laptop.
Well, the background behind the faces there is a Ukrainian flag, a Chinese flag, and so on, so you can see who's on what team and stuff.
Dude, that's Ode to Joy, that photo right there.
That's awesome, man.
That photo is literally
And the way the light is on the glasses, it looks like the Thug Life glasses.
What'd you say, Eric? That's the neocon's worst nightmare right there.
That photo was PNAC in the neocon's worst fucking nightmare right there in photo form.
It's so true.
Right there, folks.
But it's the only thing that can make Newt Gingrich hard.
Can you imagine if Dr. Paul watched the Corn Pop's Revenge and then talked about it on the Liberty Report? How awesome that would be.
I'm trying to give it a G rating. There are certain things we can't say about this, but there's a lot of bombs, there's a lot of crack, and there's a lot of things going on with a lot of money. There's a lot of legal things going on with the money.
Ryan, so you may be speaking in Texas in November? Is that a
Maybe, like, I mean, McAdams mentioned it last time he was on here, but they've got another event before that they got to worry about. So there's the Boycott Israel water bottle. That's
you
awesome.
notice there's McAdams and Ron Paul eating right behind him.
Yeah, oh, I knew who was behind me. Trust me.
Yeah.
Believe me. Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm a veteran.
I got those shades too. They're from the Don't Israel video.
He's got those.
I Israeled them.
That was a great trip, man. It was just a real shot in the arm, and reminded me there's still a lot of people out there who give a shit, care.
Yeah.
There's a large younger contingent there this time.
Young people.
I even signed a bell.
That was
that was incredible.
Seeing that happen, Dawson's like, he said I could write anything, so I wrote "fuck Lincoln."
That's what I wrote.
Dude, look at Pug. Pug's adorable.
Dude, Pug, like,
he was like a little kid. He's like, oh my god, Dr. Paul.
On my show, I feel kind of honored.
Yeah, he felt like he was losing his virginity right there meeting Dr. Paul.
Well, Pug, we're doing it for liberty. And say hi to Carol and get a cookbook there from Carol. Liberty.
I think he does have her cookbook. I think he does have the cookbook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Freedom and liberty. Yeah, it was everything. We might have
People who met him at the conference go, "You're Pug. I know your voice." They'd only heard his voice on my channel for a while. I gotta bounce, guys. I gotta go yell at a bank, and then I gotta deal with the IRS, and a fun-filled day. So, yeah, it fucking sucks.
Follow Ryan from the links in the description. He's on Odysee, Telegram,
Substack.
Fuck, what else is in there?
ANCreport.com.
ANCreport.com.
Yeah, Substack, Telegram, and Odysee. I got a Rumble too, for now. Knock on wood. Yeah. Always good.
All right, Ryan.
16th episode, killer.
We'll see you, man.
See you then.